Hey, my name is Jen, and today I will be showing you 5 easy effects to improve your Valorant montages in Adobe After Effects. They are the zoom effect, the flash effect, lens distortion, basic color correction, and the push transition. If you want to know how to sync your clips to the beat of the music, check out my video right up here where I show you how to use the time remap effect. So once you have all your clips in your composition and they're all synced to the music, the next thing you do is start to add your visual effects. And the first effect I'm going to be showing you is how to do the zoom effect, or like the push effect where the screen like pops in. Okay, so I'm going to leave this first clip alone because that'll be for the lens distortion. But right here is where my first kill is, and this is where we're going to start. I promise you it's super easy. The first thing you do is you press S here to open up the scale parameter, which is right here, and I'm going to add a keyframe. And then I'm going to go page up twice and add another keyframe. And then I'm going to go a little bit farther to the end here. This all is a little bit subjective about where exactly you want your zoom to happen. And then you go back to the middle keyframe. I'm using these buttons here to go from keyframe to keyframe. I find it a lot easier to navigate that way. And right on the keyframe, here you can change it to 110 about. That's usually how I like it. So let's see how that looks. There we go. Look at that. Nice little push. Something that makes it a little bit better is we can highlight these keyframes, right click and go to keyframe assistant and then go to easy ease or press the F9 key on your keyboard. And that'll make it a little bit more bouncy. Like we talked about in the syncing video, there's a little graph and it kind of has a curve to it. So what's really easy about the rest of these is you highlight them and hit Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac, and then go to your next kill, and then you can go page up twice to move 2 frames ahead, and then hit Control or Command V, and then it pastes the effect to your next kill, so we can watch, see. There we go, and now here's our final kill right here. And then we go page up twice, and then hit Command V, and look at that, we have all of our pushes. Let's watch it back. Amazing. Okay, so for the next effect, we're gonna do the flash effect, which basically brings a nice little bright flash when you get your kill. So the first thing we're gonna do is go to the Effects and Presets panel and type in exposure. And make sure you pick this color correction exposure right here, and then you drag it right onto your clip. And then it pops up here in the Effects Control panel. So I'm gonna press U to bring all my keyframes because I accidentally hid them before. So the U hotkey brings up all your keyframes that are on a certain clip. So when you have all your keyframes open, you can go to right where the kill happens. It's easy to tell because of all your keyframes you have here. And we're gonna make a keyframe here for exposure. I'm gonna press U again, so I bring up all the keyframes now that include exposure. And I'm gonna go hit this button to go back to the previous keyframe on the scale, and then I'm gonna add a keyframe for exposure, and then I'm gonna go to the next keyframe of using scale, and then press another keyframe. So the timing all matches with the same timing of our scale effect, which makes it super easy for us because we can just go back and forth using this button here. So at the very middle where the kill happens, you're going to change the exposure to 1, and there you go. We have a nice little flash. So you can change this a little bit more or a little bit less or whatever you're wanting. I usually stay around 1. That's usually where I go. And you can also highlight them and then press the F9 key and it will easy ease them, which will make them a little bit smoother. So for the next, to just add them on the rest, all you have to do is copy and paste them just like before. So it's Control C or Command C, and then just go to the keyframe here and then make sure your clip is selected and press Control V, and then your next keyframe and then press Control V. And there we have the flash and the zoom effect. So let's watch it back. That's awesome. It has a nice little push right as it happens, and it really emphasizes the kill. Okay, so the next effect we're gonna do is the lens distortion effect, which typically is for an op kill or a martial kill or some sort of sniper. We look here and we go to lens, and it's distort CC lens, and we drag that on to our clip. And it looks a little weird, but that's okay. We're going to take the size and go all the way out for now so we can look at it. Okay, so one thing here is this clip here I got from my friend Madeline. It's an epic kill, and it's a little cropped just by the way it was recorded. So what I'm going to have to do, you probably don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it because the center of the sniper scope is not the center of the screen. Usually it is because that's how the game works, but because the clip's cropped, it's moved somewhere else. So I'm going to take this little button here and put the center right at the center of the scope, just like so. Once you have the center here at the center of your sniper scope, make sure your playhead is right where the kill happens, and then make sure your size is at 500 and press the size keyframe to add a keyframe. And then I'm going to press U to open up my keyframes, go to probably the beginning of the clip, and add another keyframe. It depends really where you want it. Depends on the music. Depends on a lot of things. You're in the editor. You get to decide that. And then I'm going to go one frame after the kill, and I'm going to press another keyframe. And then I'm going to press this button to go back to the keyframe with the kill. And up here, I'm going to adjust the size. Let's see what looks good. You kind of have to go slow. You don't want to go like this. I mean, you can, but I prefer it a little bit more subtle. I prefer more subtle effects in general. That's just kind of my style. And I'd say about there. So if we watch that, we have a nice little lens distortion for the sniper shot. Okay, and the final effect we're gonna do today is the push transition, and trust me, this is another super easy one. So one thing to remember about a transition is you're gonna have clips overlapping because you're gonna have two clips on the screen at once, so that's why they have to be overlapping a little bit. So I'm gonna go to the point where I want my clip to leave the frame and my next clip to enter the frame. So for me, that's right here at this point in the timeline, and I'm gonna press P for position and hit a keyframe on this position, and I'm also gonna hit P on the next clip and add another keyframe there. And I'm going to go for how long I want the transition to go for. Usually I go for like 6 to 10 frames. Okay, I have 9 this time. That's fine. So I'm going to press another keyframe on each of those. So I'm going to bring this one frame longer just so I could see where it is. I'm going to click on the keyframe on the first clip where I want the transition to end and drag the position all the way to the very end here. So if you just watch that, I'm going to mute the music. It's just a nice little wipe off the screen, okay? So now to make sure the next clip follows and pushes on as the other one pushes off, I'm going to go to the first keyframe on the second clip, and you can't see it, or I can move it so you can see it. So what I did was I turned off the visibility of my clip that came before it, just for now, so I can move this clip off screen all the way here. Cool. So now we have this. So if you see, one comes and the other one leaves. If you highlight them and then you hold shift, you can drag and highlight more, and then press F9 to ease them, and it will look like this, which I think looks pretty nice. But one thing is, it's not the best. You see there's a little bit of black here, which is fine, but what will hide that is if you press these buttons right here. This is the motion blur. So you add motion blur and it hides that whole thing. If you don't see the motion blur, which is these circles, you can press this toggle switches button and then they should come up, but you also need to make sure you have the motion blur clicked from right here as well. So then it will have motion blur. Amazing. Okay, so let's just watch the whole thing together. Okay, so the final effect we're going to go through is color correction, which is just a simple way to really bring your clips to the next level. To do that, we're going to go over to the effects and presets and type in Lumetri. I never spell it right. Yeah, LUM Lumetri color, and drag that onto our clips. Okay, so now There is a lot to say about color correction. I feel like I'm going to make an entire video just on color correcting your clips for montages and different looks you can have. But I'm just going to show you a basic way to do it. So the basic way to do it is to open up this basic color correction. And if you used Adobe Premiere, it's the same exact effect, but it just is laid out a little bit differently. So my basic color correction settings would be something around this. I'd make the highlights a little bit higher to about there, I'd say. The shadows a little bit lower to maybe about here. The whites a little bit higher, not as much as the highlights, and the blacks a little bit darker. And blacks look really nice. So this is what I would say is a super basic color correct. But to bring it a little bit farther, I'd go all the way down here to the vignette and go to the amount and just bring that down a little bit. If you notice, it brings the sides in a little bit. It just adds a little bit of a shadow and it highlights the middle. You can really play with all this stuff here, but maybe to about here. And you can change the midpoint. I'd say I'd leave it about here. And the roundness and the feather and all that. This is all stuff you could change, but the highlights are the highlights, the shadows are the shadows in the image. The whites are the whites and the blacks are the blacks. I will most likely make a more in-depth color tutorial, but this I think will do it for you. That's not too bad. And so what you do then is to go to the other clips. All you do is copy this with Control C, click on the other clip, click here, Control V, and now we have a nice color there. And then on your final clip, just hit Control V and you copied and pasted it on all of them. Okay, so those are all 5 effects to improve your Valorant montages. Leave a comment down below of what else you would like to learn. Anything from editing gameplay to filming things with your camera to editing short films. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!